Welcome to How Do They Afford That, the podcast that peeks into the financial lives of everyday Australians. I'm Michael Thompson. I'm a writer and the co-host of the podcast Fear and Greed Business News. As always, I am with Canna Campbell, the financial planner, founder of Sugar Mama TV, financial literacy platform that you will find pretty much everywhere. Podcasts like this one, obviously, YouTube, books, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and more. Hello, Canna.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm excited about today's story.
Me too.
Today's topic is a really, really good one because it's a hypothetical. It's a bit of role play. It's a bit of fun because it sounds actually a lot. Just to clarify, it is financial role play. Really thrown myself off here now. It is about. Okay. I just want us to picture something for a second, Canna. I want us to imagine that we've just found $1,000.
All right.
Okay. Maybe we've earned it. Maybe we earned it by kind of selling stuff online.
Maybe we won it.
Maybe we won it.
We manifested it.
We did. We were really good at our frugal February. Perhaps we did our manifesting March, and we've kind of managed to get ourselves $1,000. We've just got it sitting there in 50s. It's all in 50s. Because I never see a $50 note. I'm dreaming here. We are going to look at what you do with it. You got yourself $1,000. What do you do with it? What is going to give you the best bang for your buck? Before we do that, though, because we're going to cover a bunch of different ideas, I feel. And we need to make it very clear that as you're listening, anything that we talk about is general in nature. It's never personal, investment, strategic, or product advice. It is purely for financial education purposes only.
That's right. We don't know anything about your situation, your goals, your deadlines for those goals, and of course, what your risk profile might be. So please always bear that in mind. This is not product advice, strategic advice, personal advice, or investment advice. It's purely for your educational purposes only. And always go and speak to a financial planner when in doubt.
All right. We've got our $1,000. Here it is.
Woohoo.
Realistically, it's probably not going to be cash, is it? It's going to be in the account.
You're really overthinking this already.
I know.
Your role play, you're going too deep with the role play. Okay, bring it back.
I'm Daniel Day-Lewis. I'm kind of immersing myself into the character here of finding the $1,000. Now I'm thinking about the motivation of the money and just kind of where did it come from. You're the right person to be talking about this because you wrote a book called The $1,000 Project.
Yeah.
So,
you know that portfolio is worth $285,000 today.
Rewind just slightly in that case and tell us about the book. Just very briefly, kind of what inspired you to write that book and what did you actually set out to do with it, apart from create an enormous investment portfolio?
And I want to turn it into $1 million share portfolio, but that's another story for another day.
Wow.
So when I became a single mother, I was on a really, really tight budget. And previously I'd always been quite savvy with money and regularly investing, but because I went to such a tight budget, that all stopped. So in my kind of mental health journey and getting myself back on my feet again as a single mother, I thought, you know what, I would love to be able to invest again. How can I do this? So I was like, well, look, the concept of $1,000 didn't seem unachievable to me. Like it was definitely a push to come up with $1,000, but it wasn't like a ridiculous amount of money to save up. So I thought, if I could just focus on saving $1,000 at a time, I could then go and invest it. And technically I could get back into investing. So that's essentially what I did. Anything I hustled outside of my normal work or ways that I could creatively save money, I put it into a separate savings account. And the moment it hit $1,000, I invested it into a portfolio of industrial shares.
Oh, wow.
And then I reinvested all the dividends. And there is still a very small reducing margin loan within that, $285,000, which I will disclose. But I literally have just rinsed and repeated. $1,000 saved up, invest. $1,000 saved up, invested.
That's amazing.
It is. And it's all documented. I've all got it on a premium system so I can see every single transaction. And I really do look at this and go, wow. And to be honest, the last 4 years, I haven't really tried that hard with it. Yeah. Just because I've had 2 kids, I've moved house 3 times, gone through just movements of life. I haven't put as much into it recently over the last 4 years, but I'll be making up for lost time.
That is amazing. That is a really, really good story. So you are the right person to talk to us about what we do with our $1,000 then.
I'd say so.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, we've got it. Here it is. What's the first thing that we should do? I was going to start with an assumption because I know that you enjoy it when I assume things because they are typically wrong. Do you put it straight into your emergency money? Because we've talked about emergency money and about how important it is to have it there so that you sleep easy.
Well, what would you like to do with $1,000?
I would like to turn it into $2,000, but
You want to go to the casino?
well, no.
Good.
Okay, just to clarify that, no, we're not going to gamble it away. Look,
Definitely not.
I mean, okay. I suppose if this is your way of pointing out that everyone's kind of
Different.
situation is different. I mean, I would like to. What I don't want is to just kind of fritter it away. That would really, really frustrate me if all of a sudden, like 2 weeks later, you're like, hey, where did that $1,000 go? And you've got nothing to show for it.
Exactly. And
That's what I want to avoid.
Okay, that's why I asked you that question about what do you want to do, because there's no wrong or right answer. It really boils down to what's important to you, because it is your money.
Okay.
But now that you've now shared with me that important information that you don't want it to go to waste, you'd like to actually have something to be proud of afterwards and know that you've used it sensibly. So the general rule of, I guess the general rule of thumb or the general advice in the financial planning world is first you would use it to help pay off or reduce any toxic debt like credit card debt.
Okay.
So it would go there. If you don't have toxic debt, you would then put it towards emergency money if you didn't have enough emergency money.
If you had toxic debt, like credit card debt, you say you pay your $1,000 down on that, would it be smart to kind of go, okay, if you were relying on essentially this windfall of $1,000 in order to pay down that credit card, then chances are you probably shouldn't have had a credit card limit that high in the first place. And so would your next step then, once you pay that down, be reduce the credit card limit? I'm just trying to then think about how you kind of stop yourself getting into that position again.
Yes, you don't want to repeat history. So it's a hard one because it's not quite as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like a bit like the chicken and the egg. So technically, yes, you would put that towards the credit card debt and then reduce the limit or cancel the card completely and not have a credit card even. However, if you're in a vulnerable situation and you don't have any emergency money, which is not something I recommend, from a practical point of view for a short-term, I guess, safety net, and I say this with great caution, you actually may need that limit at a certain level until you get that debt paid down and then you get that emergency money built up.
Okay.
So does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it does. And really, it just reiterates that point that you made earlier that there's no hard and fast rules around this as well. And
credit cards are not emergency money at all. But if, for example, I'm on a really tight budget and I've got, say, an expense coming in, I need to make sure I can meet that emergency expense. If I don't have that, if I've reduced my limit, I don't have any emergency money, I could have just painted myself in a corner.
Yeah.
And that's why you've got to be very, very careful. And that's when you perhaps go and speak to a financial counselor to get some advice here.
Okay, so we've got our $1,000. We put at the top of the list, number one, toxic debt. So if possible, we pay off or pay down our credit cards because that is debt that's going to kind of keep on growing.
It's expensive as well.
Yeah, indeed. And it's really not going to get you anywhere having that debt. Number two on the list of priorities, emergency money. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll just write that down.
And we all need to have the right amount of emergency money.
Which is a good rule of thumb, 3 months?
No, oh my...
2 months?
Oh my...
6 months?
I am so upset right
3
now.
3 years?
We have an episode purely about emergency money.
Yes, but I also learned so much from you that...
Quickly come up with a lie.
I am, at times, it feels like I have got so many gems of wisdom from you that I can't possibly keep them all in my head at one time. And that is what's happened here. And so I'm going to assume that 6
there
months...
was like steam coming out of my ears right now.
6 months of emergency money. 8 months. 14 months.
Stop.
It feels like
stop.
It feels like I'm on Price is...
Stop. I am so upset right now.
Remember how the Price is Right? How you had to kind of guess? It's like the yodeling kind of guy getting higher and higher and higher, and you had to say stop when I got to the point before he comes down over the edge. Yeah, it feels like I'm on that at the moment.
I feel like I'm about to say, you are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Well, now we're crossing game shows. This is terrible. Okay, so what is the
You're atrocious. There is no magical formula. Those 3-month rules are a load of crap, and they're setting people up for failure, and they're holding also people back from achieving more important, valuable financial goals.
So this was a trick question.
I'm so angry.
It was a trick. There was no answer.
I didn't ask you that question. You've like happily contributed to share it with everyone. It's 3 months emergency money. I was like, no, that's not the answer.
But speaking on behalf of listeners right now, okay, because I am someone who you go, okay, yeah, you need enough emergency money to be comfortable, but I need something a little bit more substantial than that. I need to know kind of, am I going to have enough money in my emergency money to pay my rent or my mortgage for 2 months?
There is no month. Stop using these numbers. You have to look at your individual situation.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you'd say, okay, well, my wife works part-time. I'm the main income earner. I have this much sick leave accumulated, this much annual leave accumulated. I have a cat that doesn't have pet insurance, so I need to factor in maybe $5,000 to back myself up for that. Or I have a car that it has the excess on the car is $1,500. Or I have a car that's starting to get really old. It may actually need to be replaced in 2-3 years' time. I have a family member that lives overseas with a health condition. I may have to suddenly jump on a plane and take 2 weeks off work and pay for, airfare, accommodation and spending money. You need to look at your individual situation and look at what that is. And every household is very, very different.
Yeah.
So if you follow that really outdated, I think somewhat dangerous formula of 3 months, you may have too much saved up because it's a very inefficient use of savings. You may not need quite as much as that, or you're setting yourself up for failure because it's simply not enough. And I shared what happened to me during Frugal February of 2023. We had all of our emergency money wiped out just like that, and all of our special savings wiped out.
All right.
And I'm a financial planner. I got it wrong.
So 6 months then.
Oh, now you're like annoying me like Tom does every day.
Sorry, I had to. I apologise.
I got a bit fired up at you.
I know you certainly did.
Still angry though.
That was fantastic. Who would have known that was coming today? Okay, so emergency money then, that is clearly a longer process of calculating that, but we've got our $1,000. Can you split it? Could we say kind of
yes.
$500 on the credit card, $500 into a fund for emergencies?
I don't believe we live in a world where you have to do one or the other, particularly around money. You can have the best of both worlds. So if it's important to you to say, look, I know I've got this credit card debt, I know I need emergency money, and I know I'd like to enjoy this little windfall, can I do a little bit of everything? Yes, why not? It's okay. But as long as you keep going with that and have some concrete goals that you work towards. So you're not burying your head in the sand. You go, okay, well, all right, I'll put $333 towards that credit card debt. I will keep going and paying that credit card debt off.
Yep.
I commit to that and put some goals around it. I'll also put this towards, an emergency savings amount. That will be the start of my emergency savings where I will build it up to the right amount that's right for me. And then I'm going to go and buy myself a nice new dress and a pair of shoes.
So you can treat yourself.
Yes. Like we come here with nothing, we leave with nothing. We need to have a good time. And, it's not about depriving ourselves or punishing ourselves, but it's about having a healthy balance in life.
Oh, this is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I've calmed down now.
Yeah, clearly. I shouldn't be surprised. I just never would have thought that treating yourself would be factored into this. But I really like that. That feels like a very kind of pragmatic approach, because if you take all the fun out of it,
like, what's the point?
Who's going to want to do it?
Can I add a little tip, though?
Okay. It feels like this is going to now cancel out the fun, but go on.
Well, my other book is called Mindful Money, and it's about spending money mindfully. So don't just go out and buy a pair of shoes and a dress. Use that money on something that's actually going to fill your cup in a sustainable way. So you might think, okay, yeah, I'd love to buy a new outfit. Great, but actually maybe use this something else. Would you like to maybe go treat yourself to a beautiful massage, or buy yourself a book, or treat yourself to a beautiful meal with a friend? What actually is not just a kind of quick fix from a surface level, but something that's actually going to make you feel great.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so I didn't
No, you didn't crush all of the joy. No, which there was a risk of that. What about an offset account? Like, would you?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your $1,000. Would you just potentially put it in there, and that way it kind of can also double as emergency money if required, but it's also helping to kind of offset your home loan.
Yeah. So if you had a home loan of $500,000 with an average interest rate of around 7.5%, if you put that $1,000 into your offset account, assuming that there's no money in your offset account today, over the course of your 30-year loan, you'd actually save $8,481 in interest.
Just with that $1,000.
Yeah, and
Whoa.
2 months off your home loan. But it gets even better. And this is the power of an offset account or a redraw facility, which work in the same way. And that is if you were to add then just $10 per month to that offset account, you would actually save $18,203 and pay your home off 5 months sooner. So never turn your nose up at small, simple savings when you proactively direct them in a better direction.
So that's if you start with your $1,000 and then add another $10 per month.
And over a 30-year term starting straight away.
That is sustainable. $10 a month is pretty manageable.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Isn't
And
that
that you would
incredible?
save $18,000 off your home loan across that period. Mm-hmm. That's $18,000 in your pocket instead of in the bank's.
And that's after-tax savings.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
that you've got, depending on your marginal tax rate, that's like $30-something thousand in salary.
That's amazing. Oh, okay. Oh, look, I thought this was at the risk of being the boring half of this episode because the second half I thought was going to be the really fun one. But
Nothing is boring with how do they afford that.
so far, this half has had fireworks. It's had full-on rage.
Rage.
And then it's had kind of an $18,000 little bonus. Yeah. Okay, well, look, after the break, we're going to get into investing kind of and kind of figure out how you would start, whether $1,000 is even enough to kind of get started on investing and what you would do with it. And then I'm going to give you a little bit of warning on this. Just a little bit, only a couple of minutes. I'm going to put you under a little bit of pressure. I want 5 ideas on how to actually make this $1,000 because we've assumed that we found it or won it or inherited it or something, but I want some ideas on how to make $1,000 so that we can then kind of go away from this episode and actually take all of this information and put it into practice.
Piece of cake. I'm the manifesting queen.
Okay, all right. That's very optimistic, and we already know what the first tip is going to be. Manifest. Done. All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Canna, we are talking about $1,000. If you had it in your hand today, if you'd suddenly got $1,000 that you didn't have yesterday, what do you do with it? And so we've talked so far about kind of emergency money and credit cards and offset accounts and also kind of treating yourself, but doing it mindfully. But now I want to talk to you about investing because it feels like this is kind of then the long-term approach to it. Is $1,000 enough money to get started?
Absolutely. I mean, the $1,000 project is literally parcels of $1,000 invested at a time. So you could look at, listed investment companies if you were wanting a, immediately diversified investment portfolio, or something like an exchange traded fund that matched your risk profile. Of course, always, get advice from a financial planner before you make any investment decisions. But even with those micro investing apps, which we've also touched on in a previous episode, definitely $1,000 is a great parcel to start building a share portfolio.
And so, okay, so say you were looking at one of those options that you mentioned, a listed investment company, for instance. How do you actually do that? That's kind of then just going to your share trading platform or something, an app usually attached to your bank or another one. And we've actually done a full episode on
we've done it, yeah.
on what to look for in an app.
Exactly. So you open up an online share trading account, put the money in that account, and I say to people, if you can buy a pair of shoes online, you can buy shares online. It's actually faster and easier.
Well, I think the analogy that you used was buying milk in the supermarket.
That was to explain the different trade options, like, at the market or a set price. Yes, that's correct.
So it's actually worth going back and having a listen to that episode.
Yes, they're all the steps right there for you.
Yeah, we didn't just focus on which app should you use. We actually went into kind of, all right, what do the different terms mean, kind of, and what are you actually doing when you buy? How do you deposit your money into the account? All of that. So definitely go and have a listen to that. So it's just good to know that $1,000 is actually enough to kind of get you started. Because I think for me, that's kind of that's a hurdle to actually kind of go, okay, I can do everything up to that point, and then all of a sudden just getting started. I
had a friend who popped over the other day, and she had $1,500 and wanted to invest it. And so I sat down with her and literally did it with her. And she was like, and what next? I'm like, it's done.
It's all done.
She's like, you're kidding. All that stress and worry, and I've been putting this off for years and years and years, and it took 30 seconds. I'm like, yep, there you go.
Goodness me. All right. Well, that's all pretty exciting, isn't it? And the idea then that is kind of putting it towards something that has the potential to grow.
And I have to say, once you've bought your first parcel of shares, that's the hardest one.
Yeah.
That's the hardest hurdle, because now you know exactly what to do it over again. So if you're really serious about your financial future and say, for example, shares is the investment product you've chosen as part of your financial journey, it's very easy to do that over and over and over again. And that's really how I built this portfolio myself.
All right. Well, I think that's probably kind of given everyone a great deal of enthusiasm kind of now for we've got a whole bunch of ideas on what to do with $1,000. Now let's get some ideas on how to get $1,000 in the first place. Now, you said that it was going to be a piece of cake.
Yes.
Coming up with 5 ideas on how to make an extra $1,000.
Well, actually, during that break, I am Superwoman, so I came up with 7, maybe even 8 ideas to share with you.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, told you it'd be a piece of cake. So the first one is market research.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We've talked about that one where you can be where you can kind of participate in surveys and things online.
And we can even include secret shopping in that
yes,
tip
the
as
mystery
well.
shop. That is still my goal in life. Yep.
So the key with that is you've got to go and register with as many market research companies as possible. Mm-hmm. And when you get an email notification to say, we have this research coming up, can you do this questionnaire to see if you qualify? Get on that email straight away, because it's sort of first in, best dressed. Yep. Second idea is to sell items, unused, unwanted items in your home. Now, according to Gumtree, the average Australian household has $5,400, I think, worth of items that they no longer use. So looking at selling them on Gumtree, Depop for clothing, shoes and accessories, and then, of course, Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
Number 3 would be freelancing. If you have a skill such as, editing or photography or even tutoring. I have a client who does piano lessons for children.
Oh, yeah.
Or a friend does spray tans, mobile spray tans. These are great ways to bring in some extra money. Or, proofreading, translating, transcribing. These are things you can actually do at home remotely.
And there's platforms. I mean, you could do it the old school way and put like a note up on the up on a. Oh yeah, that or like the bulletin board outside outside the supermarket. Yeah, they're still there.
I love a community board.
I love those.
It's so interesting. Yeah.
Or you could go on a platform like Airtasker or Fiverr.
Yes.
One of those ones, can't you? Because they're all kind of set up for those kinds of things. If you have
high pages, if you're a good tradesman, you're.
Yep.
I am someone who doesn't have a single tradesman's bone in his body.
Me either.
Really?
Yeah, I can't do anything.
Oh my gosh, you and Thomas annoy me just like.
We're basically the same person.
I escaped Tom to come here, but then I'm actually now to escape here.
And you go back to Tom, and you're like, there is no reprieve ever. We have teamed up to irritate you for life. Okay, so freelancing is number 3.
Number 4, renting your items out. So these days you can rent anything out. You can rent your dresses out. You can rent your handbags and shoes out. You can rent your car out. You can rent your bedroom out. You can actually rent your home out for like commercials. And you don't have to have this like uber glamorous, luxurious home. It's if they need to fill an ad looking for a certain look and that meets the look, you can definitely, I know someone who makes a lot of money on the side doing that.
By doing that. And how do you kind of get in on that? Is it, I suppose you just Google it.
Yes, so
it's helpful, isn't it?
There are agencies, location agencies that specialise in that. So you register your property with
okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's number 4. Number 5?
a weekend job.
Oh, yeah.
Going and working in a cafe,
Or a
working
bookshop.
in a
Wouldn't
book.
that be fun?
That would be great.
Yeah.
I think you'd find me not doing my job, but sitting in the
there
corner reading.
Like, Hannah, we're not
Enjoying
paying you to
peace and
read.
quiet, yeah. But, working behind a bar.
Yes.
I worked, when I was at university, I had 2 jobs. One was working for an IT company doing telemarketing. And then at night time, I would go and work at a bar, Greenwood Bar in North Sydney. And it was great because I wasn't out on a Saturday night spending money. I was out on a Saturday night earning money.
That's great.
Yeah.
And if you just kind of treat that as money, extra money, and that is all going towards your $1,000,
Exactly.
fantastic. Now, that was 5. You did say that you potentially had a couple of bonus ones for us.
I do. Okay, I'm going to mix them up. Okay, so number 6 is doing sort of local work, so babysitting, dog walking, house sitting, pet sitting, gardening.
Mm-hmm.
So helping out people within your community, even doing some cooking and ironing. I interviewed a woman the other day for my podcast, Sugar Mama's Fireplay, and her side hustle is ironing. She'd go into people's homes on a Sunday, listen to How Do They Afford That and Sugar Mama's Fireplay, and just does a whole pile of ironing for people in her community.
Fantastic.
She loves ironing. I hate ironing. Not as much as folding laundry, but that's another time. Another story for another day. And then number 7, I could go on more, but I'm going to stop because otherwise we'll be here all day.
Go on. What is the 7th the best, or have you done this in the wrong order?
It is the best.
Okay.
You're going to like this, and you would never have picked this.
Okay. Well, this is new. All right, let's hear it.
Tax cuts.
Tax.
You look so unimpressed.
No,
Tax
okay.
cuts. So the average Australian is actually going to be getting back through their monthly or fortnightly or weekly pay packet about $1,888 per annum. So they won't be, because they're not paying as much tax. So there I've got you close to almost $2,000 just like that.
Well, and we've talked about this previously in terms of the risk of kind of lifestyle creep and that, isn't it? That you need to, as soon as you come into extra money, or the money that was kind of previously going to another expense, and in this case that expense was tax, it's not just allowing it to just be absorbed into the everyday expenses. It's going, okay, you managed to survive without it previously, put it towards something that's going to deliver some value.
Exactly. So you'd increase, your savings plan by whatever the amount is per month that you're getting after tax, that increased amount. And we talked about this, the other week about childcare, using when those expenses dry up, well, not dry up, stop.
Yep.
You then replace it and go, okay, we'll increase the mortgage repayments by the equivalent savings, or, regular savings plan by that amount. But it's the same with this. Like, use that is money that you could put towards your financial goals. And I put my hand on my heart and say I'm including myself in this because of the rising cost of living and interest rates.
Yeah.
A lot of my financial goals have just not happened or, stopped. This is a way of getting us back on track and potentially helping make us catch up for lost time.
That is a great tip. That's actually, it's something that you don't need to do anything in order to actually receive that in most cases. The thing is that you just need discipline once it happens with the tax cuts.
But all it is just, you can set it up automatically, with a regular savings plan or a regular investment plan. It doesn't need to be that hard.
Okay. All right. No, that is great. 7 really good ideas when I only wanted 5. So you have well and truly over-delivered today.
Yes. I told you I am just a ball of hustling, manifesting money ideas. Hot, firing, blazing ball
Of
light
ideas.
energy, heat.
It's just
Explosions.
such a graphic image you are painting for it today.
You started off with talking about role play. I mean,
Yeah, no, sorry.
blame you.
It's been a wild ride today, hasn't it? We have really covered some ground. So the $1,000, I really enjoyed this because, we kind of got the dull stuff out of the way early on, kind of talking about kind of putting all that money into kind of the really responsible things, kind of your toxic debt and your emergency money, toxic debt obviously being your credit card and the like, and splitting it, not being kind of rigid with it, going, okay, $1,000, it must all go to one thing. You know what? You can put half into your emergency money, you can put some into your credit card, and you can even kind of spend a little bit on yourself because there needs to still be some joy in your life. And it'll just be discipline. And then use your offset account. And those stats, those figures that you gave, that was mind-blowing. That was amazing. The fact that kind of, if you started with $1,000 now in an offset account and added $10 a month over the next kind of 30 years for the duration of your home loan, that you would actually end up $18,000 better off over that time. That is just amazing. I love that figure. And then really kind of then getting into investing as well. And some of those ideas, that was great. Your 7 tips on how to make $1,000 when I only wanted 5. Market research, selling unwanted items. Everyone's got the $5,500 or thereabouts of unwanted items in their house, so may as well sell it and pocket some cash. Freelancing, looking at some of those kind of websites like Airtasker and the like, where you can actually kind of use your skills to make some extra cash. Renting items out, whether it's clothing or a spare room or a garage or anything along those lines. Taking up a weekend job, something that might actually be a bit of fun, like a bookshop, like a bar, anything like that, where you can make a bit of extra money. Community work, cooking, ironing, gardening, mowing lawns. Oh, that'd be fun. Imagine getting paid to mow lawns.
Do you like mowing lawns?
Oh my gosh. Lawn care is one of the most satisfying things that you can do.
Really?
Oh yeah. I'm in a number of kind of Facebook groups and things about kind of lawn addicts. I like it.
I didn't even know this. There are groups for lawn.
Oh yeah. Are you familiar with the concept of lawn porn? It is basically just like looking at other pictures of other people's lawn.
Oh, God.
It's very satisfying. No, anyway, okay. That is an idea for community work. Having said that, having admitted to that, I don't think anyone's going to invite me to their house to look after their grass. It feels a little bit sinister. And finally, tax cuts, which many people will be benefiting from in coming months. Okay, let's wrap things up with the savings hack. I'm jumping in on this one because I have a savings tip for this week.
I'm ready.
It's not really a savings tip, actually. It is a tip on how to not spend as much, which I suppose in a way is kind of savings tip. Have you heard of the app Camplify?
No.
Okay, so this is great. So we have used this because we have this kind of grand plan of one day buying a caravan, right? Mm-hmm. And kind of going around the country with the kids. But what we thought we should do would be test it out first before we kind of spend tens of thousands of dollars on a caravan. And there is a fantastic website, it's an app rather, called Camplify, which is kind of like Airbnb for caravans and camper trailers and things like that. And so you can actually go on there and you can hire somebody else's caravan. And so instead of spending all of that money on your own, you can get it for 3 days or a week or a couple of weeks or something. And it might cost you like $120 a night or something like that, instead of spending kind of tens of thousands of dollars. And suddenly you get kind of to see whether, hey, are we actually going to be able to do this? And it's actually a really affordable kind of holiday. And so we've just done it. We've just had kind of 3 nights away where we kind of just rented somebody else's caravan. And the best part was they even took it to the caravan park for us and set it all up for us as well.
Is that cheating?
Yes, but
so
it's
basically
allowed.
You just turned up to a hotel that happened to be a caravan. I do like this. I'm not bagging you.
Yes, but I mean the problem was that we didn't have like a tow bar and everything yet on our car, and we're not going to go to the expense of kind of paying the $1,000 for that and etc. if we're not going to end up using it. So this is the full kind of test of.
I think that's really cool.
It feels like you're skeptical. It feels like you're just very critical of all of my tips.
Okay, we start with role play. So then I'm thinking of you, kids in the back, driving down the highway. But no, you never actually with the caravan behind, and the Stuart, the cat sitting in between the cat kids on the.
Stuart's not coming with us. Yeah, never.
And it never happened. You just actually went on a holiday.
Yeah, and we went and we stayed in somebody else's car. Okay, fine. But
I do like it. I think it's brilliant.
It is good. It's a really good kind of tip, and I welcome anyone else sending me tips and hacks and advice on savings. Send them directly to me via Instagram. Go to Michael Thompson Author and send them to me, not Canna. But if you wanted to go and check out Canna's kind of content, you can do that as well. Where do they find you?
Best place to get in contact with me is through Sugar Mama TV on Instagram.
And you can hear me every day with Sean Aylmer on Fear and Greed, Australia's best business podcast. Thank you very much for listening to How Do They Afford That? Remember to hit follow on the podcast. Leave us a review as well. A 5-star rating's always very much appreciated. Next week, we are talking about 5 steps to organize a frugal life. And it's really kind of designed to take all of the hassle out of the admin kind of side and just kind of getting yourself organized so that you don't have to spend a fortune.
Set up for success.
Set up for success. Oh, I like that. Maybe we'll call it that instead. Either way, whatever it is called, it'll be a good episode. Don't miss it.